With the trade deadline just around the corner in the NHL, there's been a lot of names floating around there, but this guy has been floating around for over a year now. That is Jakob Chychrun, who just recently sparked up a bunch of conversation after moving Arizona Coyotes out of his tags on Twitter. Now, does that mean something? No, but the rumors have been out there for quite a while that he wants out of Arizona, and a new team has emerged from the shadows to try and acquire his services. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Gillis TV, and if you're new to the channel and like anything NHL related, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on our way to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Now, Jakob Chychrun's name has been out there for a long time. The Edmonton Oilers have been, rumored to be in the mix. The Toronto Maple Leafs, the Boston Bruins, the LA Kings even looking to add to their defense for years to come after what happened to be a really short, postseason for them against the Edmonton Oilers, going to 7 games. Now, like I said, a new team has emerged, and no, it is not a cup contending team. You heard that. So let's get into this article. We'll discuss each of these 4 teams and go on from there. So Jakob Chychrun is one of the top trade targets heading into this year's deadline. As a result, several teams like the LA Kings, Edmonton Oilers, and Toronto Maple Leafs have been linked to the star defenseman. Yet it now appears that a rebuilding team has entered the mix, as the fourth period has reported that the Anaheim Ducks are interested in acquiring Jakob Chychrun. Now, you might go, why the Ducks? Well, they're almost at the, I would say, end of their rebuild. They got guys like McTavish, Zegras, Terry, to keep going. That is their core group. They're looking to add on the back end, and Jakob Chychrun is around that age where he could be their star defenseman, number one defenseman, going ahead and doing that for the Anaheim Ducks, helping this rebuild out, being that core piece with those 3 other guys I just mentioned, and whatnot. This is a particularly interesting development, as the Ducks are one of the worst teams in the entire NHL. However, even with that being the case, the news shows that they are open to bringing in a high-impact talent if it impacts them past the season. When noting that Chychrun is locked up until the end of 2024-25 season at an affordable $4.6 million cap hit, it makes sense that Anaheim wants to acquire him with that. His 10-team no-trade list does not kick in until the end of the season, so now is the time for the Ducks to strike. Because knowing guys who have, those contracts that, hey, submit us a 10-team no-trade list, they don't want to go there. The Ducks are probably on that 10-team no-trade list because he wants to win. He wouldn't be asking for a trade out of Arizona if he didn't want to win, because the Ducks and the Arizona Coyotes are almost the exact same thing, except for the rebuild in Anaheim's going well, and, Arizona, is just kind of more of a laughing stock right now in the NHL to a lot of people who believe that they shouldn't even have an NHL team. You look at what their locker rooms are. They're sharing an arena with a different team. It just doesn't make sense for Arizona, and I think he just wants out of there. He wants to have one of those lives where he wants to win now, and I don't believe Anaheim's on that list. And so if the Anaheim Ducks really want Jakob Chychrun, it has to be now. So we go look at Jakob Chychrun's stats here. I'll pull them up. This year so far, he's having a really good year, which helps the Arizona Coyotes in trying to get pieces back. He's 35 games played this year, 7 goals, 20 assists for 27 points. So he's almost a point per game defenseman for the Arizona Coyotes. And he's a +6. Over the course of his career, he's played 372 games, notching 60 goals, 109 assists for 169 points, -40. There are a lot of things people are worried about Jakob Chychrun, if you're one of those 4 teams, is he likes to pinch a lot. He is an offensive defenseman. He pinches, he's over-aggressive sometimes, he misreads where his man's going in the defensive zone, and that's worrisome. But having an offensive guy like this with a defensive defenseman is okay, especially if he's on your second line with that defensive defenseman, or for most cases, because you think about the LA Kings, they got Downey up there. He's probably not going to play there. You look at the Edmonton Oilers, it's Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci. You could possibly bump Nurse down, but that's a highly unlikely thing to happen. You look at the Anaheim Ducks, where he could be the top pairing defenseman. And Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't see him going past Morgan Rielly. I think he's still on that second line. So having a guy like Jakob Chychrun is nice on your team. You look at all the offensive defensemen, Tyson Barrie, Erik Karlsson this year is lighting it up. You look at the past seasons, Drew Downey, Morgan Rielly, those type of guys. And Chychrun's trying to be that type of guy. The next coming up of those guys, is probably the right word to use there. So teams offering for his services could likely happen for sure. Now, you talk about the other three teams, and it mentioned the LA Kings. LA and Edmonton, we're going to talk about both of them at once here. The Pacific Division, where the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers are, for sure the Edmonton Oilers, they're 3 points out of the first place, but they're also 3 points almost out of a playoff spot. The Pacific Division is a really tight race between the top 5 teams, not including, Vancouver, Anaheim, San Jose. You're looking at the likes of Edmonton, Calgary, LA, Seattle, and Las Vegas. So adding a guy like Jakob Chychrun for one of these two teams could push them above. I know people were in comments on Twitter saying, hey, the Vegas Golden Knights should go after it. Yes, I would say that, but I'm going to say no, they don't. Because you lost a player in Mark Stone, you're trying to replace that offensive stuff from Mark Stone. You're not looking to get an offensive defenseman to replace the production of Mark Stone. It's not just going to happen. If you look at Seattle, they might take a run at him, but they're pretty well off on their defense right now that they are in a playoff spot. The Edmonton Oilers, they've always been a controversy of, hey, let's go get a defenseman. And then they got this guy in Vinny Desharnais, who's just came up to the Edmonton Oilers. Now, ever since the Edmonton Oilers are 7-0-1 in their last 8 games, and are, in quotations, on their easy part of the schedule in the next 7 games, where it's all teams out of a playoff spot, not even close to a playoff spot. So, you look at that. Now, you think about the Toronto Maple Leafs here. They're going to have to move some cap for Chychrun to come in. Is that maybe a Jake Muzzin, which he is on his return up? The only problem with that is Arizona's probably asking for Sandin. And if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're saying, no, you're not getting Sandin and a first. That is unreasonable. Get out of here with that. Is there maybe Robertson that they can throw in there with the first? It's a tough situation, but Arizona's going to have a good chunk of return coming back for Jakob Chychrun. This has been Gillis TV. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm on out of here.